Why is it that the more some people grow, the less they speak? Why do those who've gone for the deepest inner shifts often choose silence over explanation? Welcome back to the channel. If you've ever felt tired of defending your decisions, trying to explain your heart, or justifying your choices to people who never truly listen, this video is going to hit home. Today we explore the power of silence as transformation, not as avoidance, not as defeat, but as the evolution of consciousness. This isn't about ghosting people. It's not about shutting down. It's about the sacred moment you realize your life is no longer an open forum. You stop oversharing. You stop apologizing for being different. You stop trying to get others to see what you've seen, feel what you felt, or understand what you've chosen. Because you realize understanding is not a requirement for freedom. Let's begin with a moment that changed someone's entire approach to life. Nin had just quit her job of 9 years. From the outside, everything looked fine: a decent pay, stable title, steady path, but something in her had been dying slowly, not loudly, just subtly. Creativity faded. After felt forced, you woke up with dread. So one day, without a new job lined up, she resigned. Then came the flood of questions. Are you okay? Why would you leave such a good thing? What's the plan now? First, she tried to answer. He explained, defended, described her burnout, her dreams, her restlessness. But no one really heard her. They nodded, but didn't get it. Until one morning, while on a walk, he whispered to herself, "I don't owe them an explanation. I owe myself a life." That was her turning point. He stopped explaining. And that's when her life truly began. Here's the truth most people don't tell you. The need to constantly explain is a trauma response. It's rooted in the fear of being misunderstood, rejected, or abandoned. But growth teaches you this. You don't need to be understood to be valid. You don't need permission to evolve. You don't need applause to follow your soul. Let's talk about what silence really is. Silence is boundary, filter, form of emotional minimalism. When you stop explaining, you start conserving energy. You stop hemorrhaging life force into conversations that go nowhere. You begin investing your energy into being, not convincing. Now, this doesn't mean you isolate. It means you refine your audience. You speak less, but when you do, it's precise, it's true, it's powerful. Let me share a story about Jane, the tech founder who left a multi-million-dollar startup to build an app for mental health. Investors were confused. You're leaving money on the table. Why shift into a market that's so hard to monetize? He didn't fight back. He simply said, "I've made my decision." And he walked away. 2 years later, his new venture impacted thousands of lives. Not everyone understood his path, but the ones who mattered did. That's the second truth of evolved silence. Your path doesn't need to make sense to anyone but you. We spend so much energy trying to pull people along with us when the real work is to keep moving even if they stay behind. Let's break down 3 powerful reasons why people who are truly growing speak less. They've made peace with not being liked by everyone. This is huge. When you stop needing universal approval, you stop over-explaining. You start choosing integrity over image. You realize that every time you twist your truth to fit someone's expectations, you lose a part of yourself. And eventually, you get tired of that. I understand timing. Not everyone is ready for your truth. Not because they're bad, but because they're in a different chapter. Trying to explain your transformation to someone who's not ready is like shouting poetry in a storm. So you grow in silence. You become the evidence. And when they're ready, they'll see it. Not because you told them, but because you embodied it. They found peace in solitude. When you're afraid of being alone, you over-explain to keep people close. But when you've befriended solitude, you stop chasing validation. Your own presence becomes enough. And from that place, silence isn't lonely. It's liberating. Let me offer you a framework of the silence shift. You sit when you're tempted to defend or explain your evolution. Is this explanation for clarity or control? Will this create connection or confusion? Am I speaking from empowerment or fear? If the answer isn't clear, pause, breathe, and trust that silence, too, is a message. It's that real. Some people will never understand you. Not because you're flawed, but because they're committed to seeing you in your old form. Let them. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Your job is not to convert every skeptic. Your job is to become so rooted in your own knowing that other people's doubts don't even register. This is especially important during seasons of growth. When you're healing, shifting, awakening, it's natural to want people to see your progress. But sometimes, the most powerful evidence is not the story, it's the stillness. You're no longer fighting to be heard, because you're too busy becoming. Let's take this into relationships. You know you've grown when you stop explaining your boundaries and start enforcing them quietly. You say no without a paragraph. You leave without a scene. You walk away without slamming the door. Not because you're cold, but because you're clear. This is maturity. It's magnetic. You begin attracting people who don't need you to explain yourself constantly because they already respect your space, your timing, your truth. Let me share one last story. Woman named Rue stopped attending family events that drained her. First, people complained. You're distant. Too sensitive. You used to be fun. He didn't fight back. He just smiled and said, I'm taking care of myself. Eventually, they stopped questioning her. Not because they suddenly agreed, but because her silence spoke louder than their noise. That's what I want for you. I want you to reach the place where your peace is louder than their judgment, where your energy is protected, where your silence is not emptiness but elevation. Thank you for watching this video. If you've ever struggled with explaining your growth, share in the comments. What was your turning point? When did you choose silence, and how did it change you? Like, subscribe, and send this to someone who's done explaining. Because sometimes the real revolution isn't loud, silent, and sacred. Until next time, walk quietly, but walk true. And never, ever apologize for choosing your soul over their approval.
Before you leave, here's something special. In Buddhism, we believe that every encounter carries a deeper meaning. Would you like to discover your true soul connection, the one written into your destiny? Take the Soulmate Test today and unveil the hidden truths of your journey. Click the link below and begin your path now.
http://soulmate. You wisdom more, come, white.